when it first started, was a really small, intimate community of students that were really entrepreneurs, and were thinking about how they might be able to get engaged in something that was an unknown.
10 years ago, I actually wrote the proposal to create the Center for Civic Engagement in the Intercontinental Hotel in Egypt on day one of the protests of Tahrir Square. So there's a lot of inspiration going on at the time.
It was in BGIA in New York City. And the second that I did was the exchange program with Central European University in Hungary, in Budapest. It taught me a couple of things. One was that it might seem that we're isolated here, but especially with how the Center for Civic Engagement's been working, I think BARD is truly global in its scale in the sort of campuses that it has in Kyrgyzstan or Palestine, for example.
The reason we created the Center for Civic Engagement is because we thought that the whole, that is BARD's engagement efforts, were greater, and it was greater than the sum of the parts.
These students were eager, prepared, and completely comfortable with talking with each other.
I was very inspired by the students who I got to meet, and how no matter what project they were working on, every student was very engaged with their work and very, not only in a way proud of what they were doing, but took a lot of ownership of it.
There were lots of things that were happening through TLS, through the BARD network, but not as much happening here on campus, and thinking about how entrepreneurial students started to come into the office.
Students design and run their own civic engagement projects based on their own compelling interests.
I still can't believe how much we were able to accomplish. We have helped renovating the schools, cleaning the streets, painting walls, planting olive trees. We build a library, build a playground.
To organize projects, students get stipends. Those projects are local, national, and international, and they run the gamut from New Orleans to the West Bank to right here in Red Hook. And all of these projects start from a student's idea.
CCE has maintained its entrepreneurial spirit, and it's just done it in a really big way. And so locally we have a lot more community partners. That can-do spirit, that innovative approach, the stick-to-itiveness is all the same. It's just reaching a much broader audience, and it's going into the classroom now.
This course, the Advocacy Video Clemency course at BARD, to me seemed like a good opportunity to not just focus on creating for myself, but for being able to actually use those skills in a tangible way to help somebody else.
Internationally, we've connected students much more to each other across network partnerships.
At the time, I knew that Tati especially was already finding ways to start the deep conversation here at BARD.
The idea of a forum came, called it the Fisher Center. And then me and Ty met with Miriam and Gideon, and we were like, we need a forum with these alums are angry, and current students are frustrated. And they were like, yeah.
CCE's first steps, in effect, was a way of communicating to BARD and to the world. What is BARD doing in the area of civic engagement? How can we strengthen what we're doing? How can we reflect to the outside world the importance of what we're doing? And how can we instantiate this within BARD's identity? Next 10 years, I think, is largely going to be centered on two things. Ensuring that the Open Society University Network is a thriving entity in which BARD and its constituent members are benefiting from learning with and from each other and creating opportunities for rigorous education for those who otherwise would not have access. And finally, consolidating our work nationally, focusing on BARD's imprint locally, making sure that the understanding of what BARD is doing and our reach into these local communities is meaningful, that it is meaningful for our students, meaningful for our faculty, and meaningful to those communities as we engage in partnerships